I was chatting with a friend the other night, and she was staring at her phone, scrolling through endless mattress listings, looking genuinely torn about whether she should finally replace her 10-year-old spring mattress or just keep putting a new topper on it. She said, "I don't want to waste money on something that feels weird, gets too hot, or just ends up being a flop on the other side of the bed." I could totally relate. Buying a mattress feels like a gamble, especially when you're spending a few $1,000s and you can't exactly try it out in a store without a return hassle. If you're in that same spot, the link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. What makes the mattress market so confusing is that every brand talks about pressure relief and temperature neutrality in the same breath, but the actual experience varies a lot depending on the construction. The Purple Split King uses a 9.25-inch GelFlex grid that's essentially a honeycomb of polymer channels. Those channels are designed to flex the second you shift, so you get an instant response that spreads your weight across a larger surface area. In practice, that means when you roll over to grab the remote or when you get up to 10 to a midnight diaper change, the mattress gives way immediately instead of feeling like you're pushing against a slab. The air-filled grid also creates tiny pathways for heat to escape, which can be a lifesaver for anyone who wakes up feeling like they've been sleeping on a hot brick. Because the grid is hypoallergenic, there's no foam that can off-gas, which is a plus for people who are sensitive to chemical smells. Who's likely to love this setup? First off, couples who share a bed but have different sleep styles often struggle with motion transfer. The purple grid isolates movement pretty well, so if your partner tosses and turns, you probably won't feel it. I've heard from a couple who both work night shifts, one sleeps during the day, the other at night, and they said the mattress let them stay in the same bed without waking each other up. Side sleepers also benefit because the flexible grid cradles the hips and shoulders, reducing the pressure points that can cause morning aches. If you have allergies or have reacted to traditional foam or latex in the past, the hypoallergenic claim isn't just marketing, it actually means there's no off-gassing and the material resists dust mites. And because the mattress comes in two separate 60-inch halves, you can rotate or flip each side independently, which is handy if one side gets more wear from a pet or a child's bedtime story routine. On the flip side, there are some scenarios where the purple grid might feel off-kilter. If you're a back sleeper who prefers a very firm, hard dassaboard feel, the 2-inch GelFlex layer under the 9.25-inch grid can feel a bit too givey once you get used to it. Some people describe the sensation as sleeping on a very soft mattress that still supports you, which isn't a bad thing, but it's a different vibe than a classic innerspring or a dense memory foam. The edge support is another practical consideration. Because the grid doesn't have a reinforced perimeter, you'll notice a bit more sinkage when you sit or sleep near the edge. If you have a narrow bed or you often sit up to read, you might find that the mattress doesn't feel as stable as a traditional spring system. Also, the purple grid is a bit heavier than a standard foam mattress, so moving the Split King onto a new frame can be a workout if you don't have help. Lastly, the price point sits in the premium range, so if you're on a tight budget, you might get a decent foam model for less, though you'll be trading away the unique motion isolation and temperature flow that the GelFlex grid provides. So, does the Purple Split King justify its price tag? In the end, the value comes from the combination of instant responsiveness, consistent temperature regulation, and solid motion isolation, all without the chemical smells that can bother some sleepers. If you're buying a mattress for the long haul, want to avoid waking up hot, and share the bed with someone whose movements could disturb you, the GelFlex grid delivers a tangible benefit that you'll notice night after night. For anyone who prefers a firmer feel, needs strong edge support, or is looking for a lower-cost entry point, there are alternatives that might align better with those priorities. The bottom line is that this isn't a one-size-fits-all solution, but for the right couple of sleepers, it can turn the nightly gamble into a confident choice. If you think this sounds like a fit for your situation, give the link in the description a quick look and see whether the specs line up with what you need.